Have you ever sat alone in your living room, looked around at the quiet, and asked yourself, is this it now? Not out of sadness necessarily, but more like wondering what life is supposed to look like when you're past 60, 70, or even 80. You've worked hard your whole life, maybe raised a family, helped others, and built something real. But now, people keep asking if you've thought about a nursing home. As if your next chapter should be written for you, in smaller rooms, with fixed meal times, and someone telling you when to go to bed. Let's pause for a second, because that's not the only future out there. Not even close. I want to have a real conversation today. One that doesn't sugarcoat the challenges of growing older, but also doesn't trap us into thinking the only answer is handing over our independence. I believe deeply that aging doesn't mean giving up who you are. You don't lose your wisdom, your sense of humor, or your need to feel useful just because the candles on your birthday cake keep adding up. What you do lose, if you're not careful, is choice. And that's what this video is about. We're going to walk through the traditional paths most people are told to take as they get older, moving in with adult children, hiring a caregiver, or transitioning into a nursing home. But we're also going to explore something far more meaningful, how staying connected to your community can let you live independently, with dignity, and maybe even more joy than you've felt in years. Let's start with the idea that many families see as the natural choice, moving in with your kids. Now on paper, it sounds ideal. You're with people you love. You get to see your grandkids more. There's always someone around if you need help, but real life isn't paper. Maybe you've already tried it, or maybe it's something your children have suggested kindly, out of love. And that's a beautiful thing. But here's the honest truth. Moving in with your adult children changes the dynamic for everyone. You go from being the head of your own household to being a guest in someone else's. You start to notice things, comments about how salty your food is, reminders to turn down the TV, or quiet conversations behind doors you're not meant to hear. Not because anyone's being cruel, but because life is loud and busy and full of boundaries you didn't expect. You might find yourself alone in a room during the day, just like before. But now it feels lonelier somehow, because you're with people, yet not part of things. You're in the middle of the action, but you're invisible. And when your daughter-in-law says she's exhausted, when your son starts to look a little more tired every evening, you wonder if your presence is adding comfort or creating pressure. That's a heavy question to carry. Living with family isn't wrong. For some, it works beautifully. But for many, it slowly erodes your sense of ownership over your own life. You don't decide the dinner menu. You might not control the thermostat. And bit by bit, you shrink. Not just your space, but your confidence, your voice. So maybe you think, all right, that's not the answer. Maybe it's time to bring in help. Hiring a caregiver seems like the perfect balance. You get to stay in your own home, keep your routines, but get a little support where needed. Someone to help with meals, with the laundry, with errands. And at first, it can be wonderful. You meet someone warm, kind, helpful. You get back a bit of breathing room, and you think, this could work. But then the math kicks in, and it doesn't add up. Even part-time help, just a few hours a day, a few days a week, can cost thousands of dollars a month. And unless you've got a pension that never quits, Social Security alone won't cover that. So you dip into savings. You tell yourself it's worth it, your independence matters. But when you watch your account balance drop every single month, you start asking hard questions. How long can I afford this? And then there are the other challenges. It's not just the money, it's your space, your habits. Maybe you like to clean up right after breakfast, but your caregiver prefers to wait. Maybe they talk too much, or not enough. And each time someone new comes in, you have to explain your life all over again. It gets tiring. You're managing personalities instead of relaxing in your own home. The truth is, paid care isn't always sustainable, and it doesn't always solve the loneliness. Having someone in your home doesn't mean they're truly with you. You're still the employer. They're still there to work. And when they leave, the house is quiet again. So then comes the option that most people dread, but often feel is inevitable: the nursing home. Maybe your son suggests it gently. Just for a month, Dad. Try it out. Maybe you're too tired to argue, so you go. The place is clean, the staff is polite, and you try to keep an open mind. But very quickly, you realize this is not your life. You wake up when they tell you. You eat when they ring the bell. You read until 9:01 p.m. and the hallway lights go out and someone knocks on your door to remind you it's bedtime. You want to walk outside at 8 p.m., take in the stars, but you're told it's not safe. That time has passed for the day. You're 75, maybe 80, maybe older, but you're still you. Still a person who enjoys fresh air and late-night thoughts. And now, suddenly, that's not allowed. You ask to change roommates because yours snores like a freight train. They say they'll see what they can do. Nothing changes. And for the first time in a long time, you feel like a number, not a name. A task to be managed, not a life to be respected. Here's the part no one says out loud. Nursing homes are sometimes necessary. For people who need medical care every day, for those whose health truly requires full support, they can be life-saving. But for many others, it's not that they need a facility, it's that no one has told them there's another way. That's where we turn the page. Because there is another way. And it doesn't require moving in with your kids, draining your savings, or giving up your freedom. It's something simpler, something beautiful, and something powerful. You don't need to be taken care of. You need to still matter. That's the difference between feeling old and feeling alive. Between being alone and being part of something. You might be retired, but that doesn't mean you're done. You still have so much to give. Your time, your wisdom, your presence. And that brings us to the idea that changed my life and might just change yours. Living in connection with your community. Now, I want you to picture this. A quiet afternoon, a bench in the park, the sound of kids playing in the distance. You're not rushing anywhere, you're just there, present, watching. And then you notice someone, a neighbor maybe, someone you've seen in the hallway or passing by your building. She's young, juggling a phone in one hand and a child's backpack in the other. Her face looks tired, overwhelmed. She's clearly trying to be in two places at once. That's what happened to me. Her name was Sarah. She lived down the hall, always in a hurry. Her daughter was in first grade, and her husband traveled constantly for work. That afternoon, I watched as she ended a call with frustration written all over her face. I don't know what made me get up and walk over, but I did. I said, "If you ever need help picking up your little girl from school, I'm around. I walk this way every day." She looked surprised, a little unsure. Then she smiled and said, "You're serious?" I nodded. "I'm not asking for anything, just offering." And that was the beginning of something I never expected. The next day I picked up Emma from school. She skipped next to me the whole way home, talking about her drawings, her favorite snacks, and how her friend Chloe has a hamster that bites. It was the liveliest conversation I'd had in weeks. When Sarah got home that evening, she knocked on my door with a warm plate of chicken and vegetables. "I made extra," she said. "Please take it." I tried to say no. I didn't help for the food. But she insisted. "You're helping me. Let me help you." That simple exchange grew into something more. Every weekday, I walked Emma home. Every evening, Sarah brought dinner. Her husband came by once and fixed a leaky faucet that had been bothering me for months. I helped Sarah figure out how to pay bills online, something that took me a few hours to learn, but only 5 minutes to teach. And Emma? She drew pictures of me and her with big suns and wide smiles and taped them to my door like they were priceless art. And in a way, they were. They reminded me that I wasn't just still here, I was still useful, still appreciated, still part of something. You see, when we think about aging, we often focus on what we're losing, mobility, strength, maybe even memory. But we forget what we still have. We have time, we have life experience, we have patience. And more than anything, we have the ability to connect with others who are struggling in different ways. That's what community living is really about. Not a formal, co-housing setup, not some official program. I'm talking about something smaller, something human, neighbors helping neighbors. People of different generations leaning on each other, not out of pity, but out of mutual respect. You don't need a full-time caregiver when your neighbor can help bring up groceries and you can help them translate a medical bill. You don't need to live with your adult children when you can walk a child home from school and feel the joy of being needed again. You don't need a structured schedule when you've created a rhythm that works for you and those around you. And here's something you may not hear often. Independence doesn't mean isolation. Too many people think living alone means being alone. It doesn't. Living alone just means you're in control of your space, your choices, your time. But being connected, that's what makes that independence feel like freedom instead of loneliness. There are people around you right now, maybe next door, maybe down the street, who are drowning in the busyness of life. Parents who can't leave work early. Single folks who need a ride to a doctor's appointment. Older neighbors who just want someone to check in now and then. They're not looking for charity, they're looking for community. And so are you. But someone has to go first. Someone has to say, "I'm here, I can help." And when you do, the response might surprise you. One woman in my building, Ruth, started baking banana bread every Sunday just to share it with the floor. She's 82, no one asked her to. But now every Sunday smells like comfort and cinnamon. A man named Jorge began hosting a movie night once a month in the shared lounge. He brings popcorn and plays old westerns. I've seen people who barely said hello to each other become friends over popcorn and a John Wayne flick. None of these things cost much. None of them require an app or a program or a monthly fee. They just require someone to start. You may be thinking, that sounds nice, but what if I don't have that kind of neighborhood? And that's fair. Not every place feels welcoming at first. But sometimes, what looks like a wall is really just a closed door waiting for a knock. You don't have to build an entire network overnight. Start with one person, one offer of help, one conversation in the hallway. That's how community starts, not with a big plan, but with small, repeated kindness. And here's the beauty of it. As you give, you receive. Not in money, not in services, but in something deeper. You start to feel a part of the world again. You remember what it feels like to laugh with someone who gets you, to be thanked sincerely, to share something without keeping score. And suddenly, you're not just getting older, you're living. You still decide your schedule. You still cook your meals. You still read until midnight if you want to. But now, there's a knock on your door at 5:30, and someone says, "We made extra. Want some?" You've kept your independence, but you've gained companionship. You've kept your dignity, but you've added meaning. The truth is, we don't just age with bodies. We age with hearts, with purpose, with connection. And those things don't come from nursing homes or hired services. They come from belonging. You have something to offer, always. And when you find the people who need what you have, you found more than a solution. You found a way to thrive. Some people ask me, but what about when your health really declines? What about when you do need help every day? And that's a fair question. It's one I've thought about many times. The honest answer is, maybe that day will come. Maybe I'll need more support down the line. And when it does, I'll deal with it, with the same mindset I carry now. I'll look at my options, ask for what I need, and most importantly, I'll choose what makes me feel human, not just cared for. But right now, I'm still able to live, move, cook, talk, connect. So why would I spend my days preparing for decline instead of enjoying the life I have now? Here's something I've learned. Aging isn't something to manage, it's something to live through. Every stage of life has its gifts. In our younger years, we rush, we hustle, we chase. But in these years, these golden years, we have something we never had back then. Time. Time to notice the world again. Time to listen. Time to give attention to people who are often overlooked. That's a gift. I used to think that getting older meant losing my value. I wasn't in meetings anymore. I wasn't being asked for my opinion in boardrooms. My phone wasn't buzzing with people needing my expertise. It felt like I had nothing left to offer. But I was wrong, completely wrong. Because what I offer now is different, not lesser. I offer my presence, my patience, my steady hand when others are rushing, my stories, which help others slow down and reflect, my time, something younger people never seem to have enough of. And here's what shocked me the most. That matters, more than I ever imagined. Emma, that little first grader I walk home from school, once told me, "I like when you come. You listen to all my words." And I realized, when was the last time someone truly listened to her, without checking their phone, without cutting her off? Sometimes just being there is enough. That's what community-based independence really means. Not pretending you're 30 again. Not denying that some things are harder than they used to be, but embracing what you can still do and realizing it has power. The world tells older adults, step back, slow down, let others take care of you. But maybe what we need instead is, step forward, share what you know, be part of something again. And when you do that, not only do you regain purpose, you inspire others to do the same. I've seen it happen. One small act becomes 2, and then 5. One person offers help, another returns the favor, and before long, a quiet hallway becomes a buzzing little neighborhood. I've met people in their 60s and 70s starting book clubs, garden exchanges, walking groups, even online tutoring for kids in the building. And you know what's amazing? None of them are doing it to stay busy. They're doing it because it feels good to matter. If you're sitting at home right now wondering if your best years are behind you, let me say this clearly. They're not. You're still here. You still have a heartbeat, a voice, a story, and hands that can help. Don't let anyone convince you that aging is a slow fade into silence. It's not. It's a season, and every season has its bloom. So maybe you live alone. That's okay. You can still build your web of connection. Knock on your neighbor's door. Start a chat in the lobby. Offer to water someone's plants while they're away. These moments of connection, they add up. They turn strangers into allies, allies into friends. And don't be afraid to ask for help either. Community isn't a one-way street. You're not a burden. You're a person. We all need each other. That's not weakness. That's humanity. Take care of your body. Yes, absolutely. It's your foundation. Walk, stretch, drink water, get your checkups. But don't forget your spirit, your worth, your contribution. Dignity in aging isn't about pretending nothing's changed. It's about saying, yes, things are different now, but I am still me, and I still matter. I'll tell you something personal. These days, when I sit on my porch in the evening and watch the sky turn pink, I don't feel lonely anymore. I feel peaceful. Not because I have everything figured out, but because I have people. I have rhythm. I have a role to play. And that makes every day feel meaningful. So here's what I hope you take away from all of this. You don't have to move into a nursing home just because you're getting older. You don't have to live with your kids if it doesn't feel right. You don't have to spend thousands a month on services that don't bring you joy. You have another option. You can build a life around connection, contribution, and self-respect. You can wake up each day knowing that someone will smile when they see you, that your time is still valuable, and that you are not just existing, you are living. And you can do all of this in a way that's affordable, fulfilling, and deeply human. So what about you? What role can you play in your community? Who could you help this week? Who might you ask for help just to start a new conversation? If this message touched your heart in any way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your story, or even just one thing you've done lately to stay connected. Let's inspire each other. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. It helps more people see it. Subscribe to Strong Elderly Life for more videos that remind us that age is not an ending, it's an evolution. We're all in this together. Here's to living your best life at any age, with grace, with strength, and with the power of community. Thank you for watching.